Yo, 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 yo. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Max and Juan cast. Max, how you doing today, my brother?
Doing good, one. Welcome to MJC Sports, guys. As our YouTube channel says, hope everyone had a happy new year. We haven't seen you guys in a year, so now we're back. The regular season is done. Juan,
It went
what
by
do you
so
think?
fast. It went by so fast. Honestly, it was just like yesterday when the Raiders were just getting their ass kicked by the Chargers. Oh, wait, that happened, a couple days
I
ago
thought you were gonna
also.
say, "Oh wait, it was like it would just seem like yesterday where we had hope."
Yeah, I
But
know. It's funny. My girlfriend, my girlfriend was saying like that must suck for the teams that like know that you're already out and you're oh no, she was talking about the Vikings. She was like, man, that sucks. Like they're losing and like, it just sucks that they still have to play this game. I'm like, yeah, imagine like being a team when your season was kind of
like
over,
week
like
9,
yeah, like week 8, week
yeah,
9, and you just got your
yeah,
ass
yeah.
kicked by the
You're
Chargers.
just like making your fucking week like vacation. Like, okay, we're gonna go to Mexico. We're
Yeah,
gonna hit
Cancun.
like
Cancun.
Yeah, for
So the
sure.
last time
Cabo
since we
San Lucas.
the last time we spoke, I wasn't a fantasy champion yet. I'm officially a fantasy champion for the third consecutive year. Not the same
We
league,
did
but
it.
yeah, me and Max did it. I get, time Max is like I will give him like 5 or 10% of my earnings as far as championship wise for
Yeah.
fantasy. I shoot him
I like
texts here
keep
and
him
there.
steady. I talk him down. I'm like, hey. I hit him with the occasional question. Like I hit him with the occasional like, hey, this is what I would do right here. Um so do you think in terms of just like overall season, we're gonna talk about the specifics of week 18 and stuff, but overall, do you think this was like a season to remember, a season to forget,
No,
a
I,
good
I I
season,
think
a
it
bad season?
definitely I think it definitely has some headlines. I think obviously like one is Aaron Rodgers. Like this will go down. I feel like we go down in the record books apart from what's gonna happen like in the playoffs, obviously, like who wins the Super Bowl. But as far as like going 15 years from now, I feel like a lot of people are gonna remember Aaron Rodgers potentially like, hey, remember that shit season he had with the Jets? And it's just going to be a stain. Like everyone's going to remember that. A little bit about the Bengals, but not as much. The Bengals are going to
I,
because the Chargers did this. The Chargers had like a crazy season where number one defense, number one offense, and they didn't make the playoffs. So it's gonna get talked about, but not as much. The Bengals are another headline from it. But me personally, I think it's gonna be Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. How big, big expectations and straight fall on their face. 4 fucking wins to show for.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's one of the biggest talking points for me. One this season, I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, and one of the house slogans is, or one of the things they say is like, um, "What's dead, like never." Oh my god, I just had it. Now I forgot it. What a jackass! It's like it's never really dead. I gotta look it up now. See, this is like it's such a good one, and now I'm just like stumbling for words. Yeah, so I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, like I was saying, and like we had to pause it because I fucking had a spaz moment. So they say like what's dead is never really dead, or what's dead may never die. And what I mean by that is just one of the big things for me is Bryce Young. Bryce Young, a little bit of Anthony
It's a good one.
Richardson, like moves we talked about. We were so like, this is the exact wrong thing to do. And we could totally be wrong, right? Like Bryce Young could regress and he might not be the guy, but
Right.
as it stands, I've never seen a team, and we're gonna do a grade for every team, or I am one will probably be a part of it.
Yeah.
I've never seen a team go from an F to an A
Yeah. Yeah.
because all this year was about was, hey, is Bryce Young the guy? And if you ask me in week 3, I'm like, hell no, absolutely zero.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, yeah, I think 70% of me is like, yeah, I think we can build around this guy.
Well,
Is that where you're leaning towards too? I know we're gonna talk about him later, but that's just like a theme for me. Like we wrote teams off. Like the Bengals were like, oh, they're dead, and there's like, hold on, they're like in it to the last week of the
yeah.
season, right?
I I feel like that specifically just with Bryce Young. And I think there's only one scenario where we can look back and say, like, this was the moment, is if he's good. Like, if he lives up to that number one pick. which I don't think, as good as he's been playing, I don't think he ever will. But definitely gonna be looking like a starting NFL caliber quarterback, and that's big from where he's come from. Uh, so I agree with you. Like that's one of the biggest storylines. If next year we're like, oh, like Bryce Young, top 10 quarterback, no brainer. Like he looks like the guy. And we're gonna look back at this season, like this is where it happened. Remember when he got benched and it looked like he lost his job to Andy Dalton? He was gonna get traded at one point. We made a whole film breakdown on him, and he just shot
And I have to say,
confidence.
it was one of the worst quarterbacking. There's something like the better quarterbacking. I don't want to say it was elite, but it was such a stark. It was two different guys, basically. Like
Yeah,
if you didn't put the film on and you gave the guys two different jerseys, you'd be like, oh, it's not the same person. There's no way.
right.
And he turned it around, and I give props. And we were both wrong. And like I said, overall, it was a crazy. It's always a crazy season. Always crazy shit happens. I think it was a little bit of a letdown, right? Sunday Night Football was a little bit of a letdown because the Lions just kind of came in there and effed up the Vikings. Like we haven't really seen them be effed up.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Lions and Vikings. Game of the week. Everyone knew it. All the games in week 18 kind of sucked for the most part.
Here, can I say one thing
Yeah,
about that point?
yeah.
There was nothing on the line for a lot of these games, but the teams who were dead did not lay down and die. Like I cannot believe the fight the Saints gave, the Falcons gave, Indy was giving fight, New England was giving fight, Washington was fighting. It was just constant fighting. It was just nice to see.
I
No one
would
really
say
laid down. It was
that
like
with
well, the Raiders didn't.
no, the Raiders definitely fought. Everyone
A
fought
little
this
bit.
weekend except for the Chiefs. I'm just gonna lay it out there. Like,
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But they were like, "Oh, we got to fight in 2 weeks. We're good."
yeah. But look, man, I know the score says that it was a blowout, and the Lions got away from it, but this game in the first quarter, I would say all the way to the first half, up until that little time where the Lions went down the field and they got a last second field goal before the half. I think that was like a big backbreaker to me. But red zone, red zone 100% for the Vikings. That was the main difference. They got into the red zone like 3 times in this game, came up short. 2 out of the 3 times was a field goal. One of the times was straight 0 points. And honestly, it was a combination of Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson not making a catch that he usually makes. Um, these are the things where like I try to break down where I'm saying the system can only get you so far, Max. The system can only get you so far. Like we always beat a dead horse with the Jimmy Garoppolos and the Brock Purdy's, and why do you guys hate? Like, oh, the numbers, oh, they win, they win. And it's it's games like this where that felt like a playoff game. It was played
It
like a
was,
playoff
it
game.
was.
It was
It
all
was ref like a playoff
yes, it
game.
was ref
It
like
was like, hey,
everything.
by the way, if that game happens in week 3, Detroit is giving them a first down every fucking pass play with holding. They
Yes.
were handsy as shit,
Yeah.
but you know as well as I do on in the playoffs, it's a lot more of that than ticky tack shit we see in week 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. And it showed this game with Sam Darnold where there's levels to this. And this is why, like, I had people, shocked, like, oh my God, like, you don't think they should pay Sam Darnold and you don't think he's the guy? How much more does he have to show you? Like I said, take it with context, bro. Take it with context. He's not the guy out there doing everything. He missed a couple guys. He's not a superhuman out there. He's making plays accordingly. The defense is playing amazing, and he has Kevin O'Connell and one of the best wide receivers in the league. And this is what happens, where it's like, hey, your star receiver didn't catch it right there, so your pass has to be on the money. Hey, you're playing the Lions this game. You can't afford any mistakes. You have to hit Jordan Addison when he's wide open on third down in the red zone. You have to hit him. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. You can't afford to miss these opportunities. That's the difference between elite quarterbacks and good system quarterbacks. That's just the reality of it, bro. And I hate to sound like a Sam Darnold hater because I'm not. I love Sam Darnold coming out of the draft, but this is what I'm talking about. And I wouldn't even necessarily say that he turned into a pumpkin on Sunday night, but it's just there's a difference. There's a difference to this.
It was a bad showing. It was definitely a bad showing. You know, we knew it was gonna be a chess match between all the coordinators, right? It was Aaron Glenn versus Kevin O'Connell. It was um Brian Flores versus Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
In the first half, it lived up to that. It was like, you know, both teams were like, we got to establish the run. We just can't come in here and be like, oh, hey, we're gonna air it out. We're gonna air it out and we're gonna do whatever. I will say this. I think Detroit came in there with a little bit more of an edge. I think Jared Goff was like, this is just a day in the office for me.
Yeah.
And I think Sam Darnold was flustered. He didn't play like his usual self. He was more skittish. And dude, Detroit, for having these guys come off the street, they are playing their asses off. They were pushing the pocket. And I think they kind of exposed one thing about Minnesota, where defensively, I say this about them, they have a lot of good players, but you don't look at them and be, oh, you know, there's superstars everywhere, right? Like we can't run the ball at the A gap because this big D tackle son of a bitch they have. It's not like that to me, right? It's a lot of good and it's a great scheme. And sometimes you have to have the dogs in the fight. And we know how on the offensive side, Detroit will push you around with Gibbs. And Gibbs had such a great game. Like Gibbs flashed. Like Van Gink was awesome. But if you're going to stick him on Gibbs one-on-one over the middle, you're fucked.
Yeah. And if you're looking at it from a Vikings fan perspective and you're like, hey, let's not put all of this on Darnold, I feel you. You know, you look back and it should have been intentional grounding, first of all, with Jared Goff. That should have been a safety. It wasn't called. Bad call. That's what happens. Like Cam Akers coming out of the half, he should have scored. You know, he got stuck on like the 7-yard line, shoestring tackle. And then I remember the Van Ginkel play where he had a pick six. But yeah, if you're looking at it from a Vikings fan, like you can say that you could have won this game. They're probably going to play each other in 2 weeks. Like Dan Campbell said it after the game. I'll see you in 2 weeks. You know, already assuming that they're going to make it to the second round. But Lions get the dub. They get the first round bye. Much needed, man. And you know, I just want to echo what you said. Like props to all the coordinators, especially to Aaron Glenn. Well, what he's dealing with. I want to give a big shout out to my boy, my former Raider, Mighty Mouse, Amik Robertson, showing up on primetime TV and giving Justin Jefferson the business with a bunch of holding calls that probably get called in week 5, like you said, Max. But he did a fantastic job, and that's what good coaches do, Max. You know what? That's what elite coaches do. They get guys like Amik Robertson. They get guys like Van Ginkel. And they make them look like superstars. They uplift them. They make them look better than they are. So kudos to the Lions. Kudos to the Vikings. Great season. We'll see what happens.
If you're a Viking fan, do you just feel like super defeated? Like, damn, we could have had playoffs. Like,
no.
That's what's tough. I mean, it's definitely a tough loss because, you know, you literally had the second best season or third best season with the Eagles, and you're like, we're a fucking 5th seed.
Yeah.
Right. That sucks.
They got to change that rule.
Overall,
they got to change that rule.
No, I think it's bullshit. I mean, how often does this happen?
Yeah.
How often?
Like, how many times do the...
How often does 2 teams win 15 games in the same division?
Yeah.
Or 14 games?
Maybe in this case, but in a lot of cases, like, how many times do the Bucks have to win 9 games and win their division and get a home playoff game? Like, every year.
But don't you think there is something to winning your division? Or it's just kind of losing.
Yeah, they make the division, like, very important. Like, it's, you know, the number one thing. Like,
you know, I don't mind it, but then I could kind of get like, hey, if you have 14 wins, like you should have a home playoff game, especially against, they're playing the Rams, right?
Yeah.
Or no, they're playing the Bucks.
The Vikings, they're playing the Rams.
That's a tough first round for the Rams.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Wait.
Wait.
Yeah, Vikings and Rams. They play on Monday night.
So who's Tampa play?
They play Washington. Yeah.
See, that's great.
And Washington has to go on the road. And look at Philly last year. They had to go on the road.
Yeah, that sucked, but we were going to lose. Doesn't matter where. We sucked last year.
but
overall, it's a tough rule. I don't think it needs to be changed. This was the game of the week, and I don't think it really lived up to what we thought because the Lions are really good.
The Lions are good, really man. Good. With all the injuries, like they're still fucking good. It just makes me think, like, if they were fully healthy, I think they would have only lost 1 game. honestly.
Will they only lose 2?
Yeah, they only lost 2. Lost 2 games.
Who they lose to?
They lost to No, you're right. Did they only lose 1 game or 2 games? I know they lost to
They
the
lost to the
Bucks.
Bucks. They lost 2 games. Who was the second game they lost to? I think it was the Bills. Oh, the Bills
The
fucked them up.
Bills. Yes, the Bills did fuck
Yeah.
them up.
But again, just super depleted. They definitely need this week. Hopefully they can get some guys back. Anzalone was big coming back. Well,
Yeah.
where do we head to next one? Because this was really the only game that really mattered. Like,
let's go to
what are you going to say about Denver and the Chiefs? Like, oh, yeah, Denver beat the Chiefs backups.
I
no shit.
I just want to say this. Like, that's how you tank.
The Chiefs were like, F the Bengals. We don't want to see you guys.
That's how you tank. I mean, the best team in the league knows how to tank. And they did it. It was obvious they were not trying to win this game. Your boy Carson Wentz fucked over like so many teams this week.
Carson Wentz is my GOAT, and I wish he had a chance to challenge for the job. That's all I'll say. No.
Yeah. But the Broncos, they get in. I think the aftermath of it, Max, the right team got in. Broncos got in. They were the right team to get in. As much fun as the Bengals are, they didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. They lost way too many games. They lost to the Patriots week 1. Like, it just
they only have themselves to blame.
Yes,
they only have themselves to blame.
Yeah. So I felt like all the right teams got in. Like, the Falcons shouldn't have got in. That was correct.
Oh, that's a great game to talk about if you want to head there. I think it's almost a fireable offense to lose that game. It's pathetic. I think somebody's head has to roll for this Kirk Cousins fiasco. It was a joke. And again, I tip my hat to Carolina. Atlanta, you didn't even have to worry even if the Bucks lost, excuse me, you didn't have to worry because you guys suck and lost the game.
Yeah.
Atlanta lost so many winnable games, some with Kirk Cousins, a couple with Penix. But I think it was a horrible job. I'm really disappointed by Atlanta. Really disappointed. The whole year.
Besides, really, the bright spot in it is Penix played another great game. He played fantastic. Their defense is terrible. The coaching is just not that good. They're saying that they're going to keep Kirk Cousins. I don't know. It's just
as a backup. Yeah, that's just like typical. Like, hey, we'll keep him, or we'll trade him for something good.
Yeah. And before I want to kind of transition to all that other stuff, but yeah, the Falcons fireable offense. That leaves us to the Bucks. The Bucks get the win. They're in the playoffs. They beat the Saints. I kind of want to talk about.
Up.
Yeah, I kind of
shocked.
I kind of want to talk about the grit of the Saints and the Bucks. Like, the Bucks were down in this game. I felt like McMillan, the rookie wide receiver out of Washington, came up big. Of course, Mike Evans did his thing, getting 1,000 yards again. Only him and Jerry Rice, the only 2 receivers to have 10 consecutive 1,000.
10 to start the year, your career too, or something too.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. What'd you think about that, Max?
Oh, I love Mike Evans. I think this is going to be one of the best receivers no one talks about ever. For some reason, Mike Evans is never talked about as one of the best receivers of all time. And
I think it's because his high is not as high as other guys.
But I don't even think he really had a chance to get that high.
Yeah, it was kind of late in his career with Brady that he got a good quarterback.
He was already in the league, 7 years?
He did show out, though. Like, the year with Brady, when they won, he showed out. He had big plays. Not necessarily in the Super Bowl, but he had some big plays, in that playoff run.
Yeah, I just feel like I think he came in with Odell, and right off the bat, it was like, Odell is so good.
Right.
So amazing. And then it was just like Mike Williams was just like, all right, just keep getting 1,000.
I loved Mike Evans coming. I wanted the Raiders to draft him so bad.
I remember.
They wanted.
What do you think his high is for in a year? I bet it's 1,400. It can't be that much.
It's not that much. It's not. I doubt it's a lot. It's maybe that year when
15-25.
Yeah,
it's probably in the league.
It's the Winston year, right? When he threw a bunch of interceptions. That's probably when he had the most
yards. But that's what I'm saying. He just constantly was good and playing with dog shit.
Okay, I'll give you a name. I'll throw out a name that's maybe going to be compared with him because they kind of played in the same era. They're kind of good at the same time. Julio Jones. I think Julio Jones's high is better than Mike Evans. That's the thing.
Mhm.
It's hard. But I do think Mike Evans had the better career, in all honesty. That one's hard though. Because that's the
Yeah,
guy.
it's very hard.
That's the guy.
I think at some point, and there's some videos I want to make with you, and I haven't told you about them. But there's some guys who just have an understated like excellence.
Mhm.
Like the quarterback would be Stafford, right? Like how
Yeah.
many years has Stafford ever got the deserved praise he gets, right?
Right.
How many years does Mike Evans get the like you're so good?
Probably
like,
just
ridiculously good.
until Brady got there. When Brady got there,
Correct.
that's when
Like,
people started, oh, this guy's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer today if he retired.
Yeah, 1,000%. But at the end of it, I bet you a lot of people are gonna remember Julio Jones more than Mike Evans. Because Julio Jones had the highlights. You know, he had that little playoff, that Super Bowl run with Matt Ryan that one year. He did really good, but the consistency is a big thing for me. I'm a big Frank Gore fan. You know, I'm always fighting the Hall of Fame thing. It's because of the consistency. I kind of feel like that with Mike Evans. It's just like dog shit around him for most of his career. He still puts up the stats, bro. Still puts up the numbers, and he's just consistent as hell. So I'm happy for Mike Evans. It's a well-deserved accolade to get. I'm excited to see them in the playoffs, Bucks and Washington. Let's go into the Saints. So the Saints are one of the teams, Max, that is an open vacancy. Black Monday has passed us, and there's a lot of surprises.
Can you just tell me can you tell me the vacancies so I can just like know them?
Yeah. So the vacancies for head coaches is the Saints, the Jets, the Bears, the Jags, and the Pats. Those are the teams. 5 teams that are head coach vacancies.
Do you think that the Giants and the Raiders could be teams down the road, or you think their coaches are safe?
No, the Giants already said that they're safe. The Raiders' standpoint, there was a weird press conference today with Antonio Pierce saying that no one has told him anything. I don't know what to think. You know,
it wouldn't be the Raiders without shit like that happening.
Exactly. Huh? So I don't know. I have no idea. I'm leaning towards. It sounds like they're going to keep him. That's what it sounds like to me, because they would have fired him.
They're probably going to just see if Dion will come, and then they'll figure it out later.
Maybe.
Like, yeah, we'll see if you're.
Yeah, maybe. If they do fire him, I want Mike Vrabel, but we'll see what happens. Look, it was kind of an underwhelming Black Monday. I think Doug Peterson was like the only guy. I was expecting more.
Gerard Mayo didn't even make it to Monday.
Dude, Gerard Mayo didn't make it past like 2 hours. They fired him like within an hour after the game.
Which of those vacancies you said? Jacksonville, New England, the Jets. I can't. I'm blanking. Which vacancy was the most surprising? Was it New England in your mind?
No. Yeah, as far as how quick it was done, yes, it was the Patriots. Just because it was just kind of weird. It was weird today because you would see them getting mad, Max, if they started, let's say they started Drake May today, right? They played Drake May the whole game, and they won that game. You know, they played all their starters, whatever. Joe Milton played the majority of that game, and they played their backup running back. They had a couple receivers out there. Like, it looked like they wanted to lose the game, but they couldn't. And
Drake May was, Joe Milton.
Joe Milton, our boy,
stock
man.
is up.
Stock is way up. Raiders trade for him. But yeah, I was just kind of shocked because when you see something like that, it seems like the organization's on the same page with the head coach and the GM, and it's like, hey, we're gonna tank this game. Let's play all of our young guys and let's see what happens. Like, they fired him immediately. And to me, to fire him that fast, why wouldn't you just fire him, week 8, week 9?
A week ago?
Yeah, like
tomorrow.
I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, maybe he disregarded message like, hey, Robert Kraft said, we don't want to win this game. We can get the number 1 pick. It'll change our franchise forever. Because, I mean, we agree Drake May is the guy going forward. He
Yes.
proved it.
Yeah.
Joe Milton did it against backups and shit. That was cool. He had a good game, but I'm not like, wow, now I believe in Joe Milton, right?
Yeah. It's just weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it's a weird situation because, head coach, this is our guy. This is the head coach of the
Mhm.
future, head coach in waiting, which I guess is never a good sign if you look at it. Which of those jobs, my next question is the best situation to go to?
Oof, man. I would have to say probably the Patriots, honestly.
I would think so. Yeah, double down.
Look, I'm
They
looking
went from
at
having one coach for 30 years to firing a coach after 1 year.
Yeah, that's crazy. Which was the guy. This was the guy for years, and you fire him after 1 year? To me, it reads they know something that we don't, which
Correct.
is they have a guy in mind.
The players must hate him. And Christian
No,
Gonzalez
I don't
was
think
like
so.
smiling.
I don't think so. I think
I don't
think
know.
the players are whatever with him. What I'm saying is they feel like they can get their hands on Vrabel or whoever their guy is that they think is a major upgrade from Gerard Mayo. They know that they can get him.
I could see Vrabel. If Vrabel goes there, I'd be like, God damn it.
Right.
This is
Like the Patriots are low key back
that would be
to being like assholes.
correct. The Jets job to me is just like cursed. Like, like I would love to see Rex Ryan go back. Because I mean, he was a really good coach for the Jets. Like there was definitely a media circus around him when he was there, and they get Tebow and they do all this crazy shit with Sanchez. But overall, they were a good football team when he was the head coach for the Jets.
To me,
Jacksonville's fun.
No, that's the worst one. I'm gonna shock you with that one. That's the worst. I would stay completely away from that job for one reason.
By the way, Trevor Lawrence, everyone's like Trevor Lawrence should be held accountable. Doug Peterson's not a good coach.
He's not.
To me.
But Trent Baalke's not that good either. And he's the one that's staying.
He's a bum.
He's staying.
Yeah, that's weird.
He kept his job. So to me, fuck no. I'm staying far away from the Jaguars. I don't want to touch Trent Baalke. I think it's a huge mistake. I don't know what Sean Khan is thinking. Like, you need to get a new GM. Trent Baalke is not. Part of the reason is because Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson weren't getting along. What happened with the coach before that? Trent Baalke and Urban Meyers weren't getting along. What happened when Trent Baalke was in San Francisco? He wasn't getting along with Jim Harbaugh. Don't you think if you're having these issues, on that, if you're having these issues with multiple people, you're the guy that's the problem? Like, that's the way I
would think so. I would agree with you on that. That is some sound logic. What do you think about the Bears? The Bears are another appealing one. You think with Caleb Williams, we have some pieces on both sides of the ball. That one, I think the roster's in need of some dire upgrades before we can really talk about them taking the step forward. And I mean, granted, they're going to have money. They're going to have picks.
To me, they're not desired. They're not desired to me. And it's really for maybe two reasons, I would say. Number one, the division. I don't want to be in that division. You have to play against the Packers, the Vikings, and the Lions twice a year. No, thank you. You're going into the fucking storm, bro. And second of all, I don't think they're like set up all that well as people are thinking. Like, they have the receivers, but like Keenan Allen's probably going to be gone. DJ Moore is getting older. Their offensive line is a work in progress. And you just never know. Like, it may be a Trevor Lawrence situation where, like we've been saying, like, he's the guy. He's generational. Like, it's the coach, it's the GM, it's the offensive line.
Again, and I was shocked they pulled that game out of their ass against the Packers.
Yeah.
Like, I'm as the Eagles fan, I'm not looking forward to having to deal with the Packers. I will say, though, this was also like maybe the Packers aren't as good as we thought that they could squander a game like this, and it could be a game. And I think there's something about the Packers one that I am afraid of them, but there's also part of me that's like they're so inconsistent right now. Right? Do you agree with that? Like, there's just something about them. You're like, what is going on? What are they doing? And I know they're hurt. Like, they have Jair Alexander out, but what do you think about the Packers? Just kind of like a little bit, just based on that game.
I think they're fine. Like, Jordan Love got hurt in that game. I think they kind of just realized, and they lost Christian Watson for the year, by the way. He's
Yeah,
done. So they lost both of those guys in this game. Jordan Love hopefully is going to be healthy for the Philly game this weekend.
hopefully not, but yeah.
But yeah, I just think they got down early. They lost their quarterback. They kind of just threw in the white towel. Like they didn't want to get no one else hurt. Pushed it back, like whatever. To me, like they've lost to great teams. They lost to Philly, the Vikings, and the Lions. Those are all great teams for the most part. Like those are Super Bowl
But they
bound
did try
teams.
to win that game at the end, and they just could not close the door on the Bears, who were, again, I'm shocked that the Bears, played as hard as they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. We're probably gonna try to come out with a preview for you guys with playoff previews. We haven't done it all year, so maybe this is the time to do it with the playoffs. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I want to talk about some of the teams that maybe should have fired their coach, and let's talk about it. Like they're bringing them back. Starts with the Giants. I think that's the obvious one. They end up with the fourth pick, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so they're
Here,
keeping
I'll get
Dayball.
the draft order.
They're keeping Dayball. They're keeping Shine, whatever his name is, the guy that got rid of Saquon Barkley.
Oh,
um,
Joe Schoen or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical of it because I just think there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of
They're
noise.
picking it. They're picking a 3 apparently.
Uh,
Titans, Browns, Giants, Patriots, Jacksonville Raiders, Jets, Panthers, Saints, Bears. Top
that's
10
top
picks.
10. Yeah.
Hey, Bears pick a 10 for 2 straight years.
There you go. What do you think of the Giants, Max?
Yeah, no, I'm shocked. I've always liked Daboll, but I think as a head coach, I was kind of like, this is not working out. And this just gives me vibes if they start off slow. It's like week 4 dismissal.
I don't know.
And I mean, again, there were things about them I liked. I was like, wow, like they're fighting. They're not playing that poorly, but something's got to give with them. And I don't know if Daboll's got to turn this team around, truthfully. I think he had his one magical year. They did Daniel Jones dirty, and they just fucked up that whole situation.
To
So
me,
moving forward, it's kind of like dead man walking.
to me, you don't get leeway. To me, you don't get leeway. And this is not the time for the Giants to
Be like, yo, we trust this coach.
no, not really like trust, but like go into the process of it's gonna be nearly impossible for this regime to go into the offseason and think about the next 3 years. They're gonna have to,
Correct.
they're gonna have
It's literally ball to the wall.
every move is gonna be for this year. And I don't necessarily think the Giants are there. They're not. They still need work.
No, and that's the way you make a mistake.
Yes.
Is trying to,
like, do you
like,
really think
what are you gonna do at 3? They're gonna be like, oh, we'll take a quarterback. Maybe that'll buy us a year.
maybe, but I don't think so. Like, I think the Giants
But I'm
fans
sure
are
that's
fed
what
up.
Matt Eberflus thought. He's like, yo, I'm gonna get this rookie.
Yeah.
It's gonna buy me some time, and it sure didn't.
Yeah.
Bought you about 7 weeks.
That's a great example of a guy where you get fed up within week 5, week 6, and you're still losing. There's no leeway like, oh, Dable, let's give him some time. That's non-existent. You don't have that leash no more, bro. Your leash is gone.
Correct.
And it's
there's no more give on the rope.
It's gonna be dumb moves. It's gonna be money given out that they shouldn't have gave out. They kind of did it this year a little bit because they felt like their backs were against the wall, with like the Brian Burns deal and shit like that. So I don't know. To me, if I'm the Giants, I would have fired them. I would have fired them. As much as I like Dayball, and as much as I don't think it's 100% his fault, it was time for a new regime, bro. It was time. And it's crazy. Like, this is what we love about the offseason, Max. It's arguably our funnest time besides the actual season sometimes, because there's just so many storylines and so many things to look at every single team and from so many different angles. And this is just going to be one of them. Like, what are the Giants going to do? How are they going to approach the offseason?
Do you have any other teams with should have been fired coaches? Are you thinking maybe Tennessee is one of those teams?
Yeah, Tennessee's
I
a
don't
weird
really.
one. Tennessee's a weird
I
one. They got so
I
they end up
I
with what first pick, right? Yeah, they got the
second.
first pick.
Yeah, they got the first pick. Look, I truly believe their coach is in over his head a little bit. I didn't really like the way he handled a lot of situations by switching between Levis and Murray and blah 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 and all this other shit. Their prime. First of all, I should never fire Mike Vrabel. Number one.
Mhm.
Number two, I don't really know if Brian Callahan's the guy to lead them out of this shit. Like you said, like this regime is going to change stuff. Overall, Titans had an awful year,
Yeah.
just plain awful. So I would have fired him, me personally.
To me, another team to look at, the Dolphins. The
Wow,
Dolphins
wow.
are a team that's bringing back the squad, Daniels and Greer.
Well, here'd be my point. One is, well, you already tied your wagon to the Tua. This is the only coach that's gotten good out of Tua. I guess you go with it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't agree. I think you fire your GM for giving that stupid fucking contract, and I think Mike McDaniel, he's a fun coach. He's cool. They beat the shit teams. They have not beat a good team in like 3 years. What are they, like 1-20 against good teams?
yeah. I don't know, man.
Shout out to Tyreek. He's out.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to
Shout
bring
out.
up. What do you think about the whole Tyreek thing?
Oh, shit, he is such a fucking diva.
This is why I mean, I really wish that video would have did a lot better. It did decent for us. The don't pay a wide receiver, but you hit it right on the fucking money, Max. And this was what 2 years ago that you made that thing. Um,
Yeah, we
it
made it.
it's
Yeah.
aging so fucking well. It's aging so well because this is why. You could have caught some fire last year. It's like, oh, how do they love Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill was what like 1,700 yards last year, and he was amazing. Look at the fucking drop off this year.
I think he's fallen off. I think he's gotten a little slower. Hell, he's still a good player, right? You still give him a good quarterback. If he goes on the Chargers next year, wherever he wants to go and play, he could have a great year. But I think his best days are behind him. And I think you'd agree with that. And again, when these guys the Chargers made the playoffs with the worst receiving core maybe in football. Pretty bad receiving core.
Well, yeah, you look
No
at
shots at Lad McConkey. He's a fun piece, but Quentin Johnson and Joshua Palmer don't strike fear in no one's heart.
and look at one of the best wide receiving cores in the Bengals. They didn't make the playoffs.
Didn't
They
make
got
the
the Triple
playoffs.
Crown winner, and they missed the playoffs. So it's gonna be an interesting offseason. This is why you don't pay divas. It's like I seen it firsthand with Devontae Adams. It's like Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams. They become available. Everyone got excited. You're getting these guys before the age of 30, and they're coming off some great years. They're on some really good fucking teams, bro. And we just got to come to the grips that a wide receiver is not gonna uplift your team to the point where it's gonna account for bad quarterback play or bad head coaching. Like it's just the facts of it, bro. And Tyreek Hill is just one of these guys where I don't think he's gonna be a Dolphin next year. And if
No,
he
no, no,
gets
no.
traded, he's gonna go for like a second or maybe a late
I
first round
think
at
seconds.
best.
Oh, see, I disagree completely. I think the way he's portrayed himself, the money he's making, the headache that is Tyreek Hill, the off the field shit. I mean, let's just recap this year. Week 1, the thing with the cop. Not saying it's his fault. I'm just saying these are things that happen and we're talked about in our distractions. Thing with the cop, the countless baby mamas, the constantly in social media. I'm not saying I'm not giving him shit. I'm just saying, you don't think teams look at that? You don't think people are like, hey, distraction, weird comments throughout the year about his future. This press conference where he basically is like, I'm done at the end of the year, quit on his team by all accounts. The trade value, I don't think, is there as much as people think. Like, I don't think he's this super sought after guy.
Yeah.
I don't. I think he's a big fucking headache. He's a diva. And he's old and he's banged up. I don't even know what his stats were this year. I don't even know how good a year
He
he
didn't
had.
even have 1,000 yards, Max.
Did he not?
No. He had like 800
800,
something.
959 yards. See, that's a pretty shitty year for him. And some of that's on Tua being hurt, and Some of that's just off natural fall off and Jalen Waddle. And I think the Dolphins have a really tough discussion they're going to have in the offseason with like, hey, if we get rid of Tyreek Hill, or it kind of changes the identity of our team too, right? Like they're this super fast track team and we put up points, but they're soft. They're a soft football team. And you get rid of Tyreek Hill, it's kind of you just weaken the only strength of your team. And Dolphins are in a precarious place, and I would have been okay if they fired Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, I don't know where Tyreek Hill is gonna go, but I agree with you, Max. Like his value is gonna be interesting. My bet is they 100% have to trade him during
To
the
the
draft.
Browns.
No, like during the draft or before the draft.
I would trade him to the biggest shit show I could find. Like, here's Cleveland. Here you go. I don't even care about the compensation. I just would spite him at this point.
You can't send
For
him to
quitting.
Buffalo no more because Buffalo used to be the spot.
I know. Trying to think where's like a real Cleveland's probably about it.
Fuck it. Send him to the Raiders. Let him die in Vegas.
I'm not gonna make a joke about fast receivers in Vegas.
Oh my god. Yeah, don't do that. It's gonna hurt my soul. Anyway, I think that's gonna do it, guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Look, we greatly appreciate it. We're 18 weeks down. Appreciate all the love, man. If you guys have tuned into every episode every week, we greatly appreciate it. Even if you tuned in for 1 minute for this week or whatever week, greatly appreciate everyone that supports the channel. If you guys are watching this and you guys have gotten this far, like I said, hit the like on the video, bro. It helps us out, spreads the word about the channel, all that good stuff. Max, what do you got to say?
The end of the season is a good and a bad thing. We get the playoffs, which is good for us. A lot of coaches who are fired, but still worry they're still going to get their millions of dollars because fully guaranteed coaches contracts. It's been a fun season. It's been a long season, and it's been a short season. I know that's a oxymoron, but it's true.
What do you mean about that? It felt like a short season, you mean?
Yeah, like, it's like, how can something 18 weeks feel short? Yeah. But it does every year.
It does.
Every year it gets shorter and shorter, it seems like, the season, even though it seems to get longer on the game, right?
But your season's still going on. You get to watch your team continue.
Yeah, I know. I don't get the luxury of one where I don't care what happens.
Yeah. I'm going for the Lions. I'm going for the Lions and the Bills. Those are my teams. Big Bill fan, big Lion fan. Fuck the Eagles. Fuck the Chiefs, the regulars.
On that note, this is the last show.
All right. We'll see you guys later on through the week. We'll give you guys a preview for the playoffs. Until then, we out. Peace.
Everything ain't what it seems. Glittering gold, both clean. Not on my team. This organic, we don't buy.